Hello everyone, my name is Vipin and I will be presenting regarding the content agnostic game-based self-assessment today. Let's say you want to teach chemical equation balancing using a game. So you make a dedicated game for that particular purpose of balancing chemical equations. But now you want to teach cryptographic encryptions using a game. And now later on you will have 10 different topics that you want to teach using 10 different games. So instead of, as we all know that making a game is a lot of time consuming. So this is when the content agnostic mechanics comes to the rescue. In the game of Mario, you have a particular set of mechanics which work for that particular game. But so let's say you want to teach chemical equation balancing, you will have some sort of mechanics. But what if you make those mechanics to be content agnostic, independent of any content? So in such a case, you can make another game, you can teach another content using the same set of content agnostic mechanics. So these mechanics will help you save a lot of time and money. You can do more research in less time, and for the companies that work in educational games sector, it would mean more profit. This is the gauge model which Dr. Barron came up with during his dissertation. It's a component-based architecture. It has four components. The first component is the mechanics component, which is basically the game mechanics. In this architecture, this component is designed to be content agnostic. Then we have component, which is replaceable component. This component is basically this component basically governs what is the content that will be taught using this particular game. They There can be many components which can be used here. For example, you could teach chemistry, you could teach cryptography, you could teach math, vocabulary, or whatever. Then you have student model, which is also designed to be content agnostic. It models a student learning using stealth assessment and various techniques. And then this model is then used to adapt the game to accommodate the student learning during this process. And then we have framework, which is the static part, which shown in blue here, which binds all these components together. I'll briefly walk you through the game ChemoCrypt, which was developed using the content agnostic game-based architecture. This is a screenshot of the main menu of the game, in which in this game in which you can learn either cryptographic encryption or chemical equation balancing one at a time. Uh, the game mechanics involved in the game are the left and right player movement, climbing the ladder, and jumping. There are three distinct types of patrolling enemies, which include flying a bat. Then there are various hazards like spikes and water. The player immediately die when they come in contact with these hazards. Then there are moving platforms, which are either moving by default or start moving when player try to reach them. Then there are various coins, one-ups, and content-specific elements scattered throughout each level. We'll talk more about the content-specific elements later on. Then there's game difficulty, which varies from 1 to 4. It basically governs the damage received from the enemy, their patrolling speed, the speed of the moving platform, and the environment layout. The higher the difficulty, the more the damage they will receive from enemy, more will be their moving speed, more will be the moving speed of platform, and the environment will be more difficult to navigate at higher difficulty than at lower difficulty. Then each level ends with a quiz, which basically asks them about a particular task. And then each level we introduce a new game mechanic over the previous level. So within each game content, the player is tasked with collecting the required number of elements in the game. And there are three distractors present in each level, which is basically the excess of those elements which the player need to collect. And this is done to keep in check if the player is collecting everything instead of collecting only the required number of those elements. On collecting these distractors, a player receives a kickback and possible health loss depending on the content level. And then there is a 50% chance that the go text will appear once all the required molecules are collected. If there are uh, distractors still left in the game. Otherwise, there is a 100% chance that the Go text will show up. And then this is followed by a quiz about the gameplay exercise. There are a total of 4 content levels with increasing content complexity as you progress in the game. For the chemistry content, the player was tasked with collecting the correct number of elements and molecules that take part in the chemical equation to balance it. These 4 equations show the four the 4 tasks for the each content level. And then there were excess molecules and compounds which were present on each level that would act as a distractor and that the player is not supposed to collect. Similarly, for the cryptography content, the player was tasked with encoding or decoding a piece of text using the provided encryption key. For example, for the first level, they have to encrypt the plain text attack at dawn using the key 2. Therefore, they have to collect these letters which are present in the resulting encryption, that is CVV, CEM, and so on. And again, there were different or excess of these letters present that would act as a distractor for that particular level. This animation shows a brief gameplay for the chemistry content. For the cryptography content, as you can see, when the player collected the distractor, they received a kickback and a feedback saying that they were not supposed to collect that letter. And then at the end of when they collect all the letters, they go through this small quiz in which their task is to answer the quiz correctly. There were 3 different types of assessment which were used in the game. First assessment was for determining the affect of the player, that is whether the player was bored or frustrated or were they engaged in the gameplay. This was done to adapt the game. So if the player is bored, then the game difficulty was increased. If the player was frustrated, the game difficulty was decreased. Then there was knowledge assessment, which was done with the help of dynamic Bayesian networks and the pre and post test. And then there was also an engagement assessment of engagement using the user engagement scale inventory. The FTEX software development kit was used to determine the affect of the player. The game was integrated with an FTEX software development kit from Affectiva. It uses webcam with a sampling rate of 20 Hz and outputs the probabilities of various emotions and expressions in the game. And then those emotions and expressions were used to determine the affect of players with the help of binary logistic algorithm. This network shows a simplified version of the dynamic Bayesian network which was used in the game. It consists of 6 nodes. The knowledge node basically models the knowledge that the player possesses during the game at any point of time, and this knowledge is linked to their prior knowledge. This knowledge is linked to the answers to the question that the players give, and then it also governs if they will collect or not collect the 3 distractors which are present in the game. Then there were pre and post tests used in the game. Both of the tests consisted of 20 multiple choice questions and each had 4 choices for the player. Then there was a user engagement scale which was used for the engagement assessment. It had 25 items on a 5-point Likert scale and consisted of four factors, which were aesthetics, perceived usability, satisfaction, and focused attention. That's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for attending this.